Do your kids experience anxiety, or perhaps they have a bad belly syndrome? Do you ever question if you're supporting them in a manner that helps them manage their anxiety? So if you want to learn how to support your children to help them to grow up to be confident and resilient, I welcome you to grab your pen and paper, your coffee, your wine, your tea, whatever it is, and tune in to today's episode of Coffee and Confidence. I'm so excited to be interviewing today's guest, Alicia Preston. We're going to be talking about how to support your kids with confidence. So thank you so much for being here, Alicia. First, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Kelly Carrigan. I am your host today. I'm an assertiveness coach, and my business is EmpowerMe Coaching. I am helping people pleasers around the world calm the chaos and create more balance in their life. Because you know what? I was that people pleaser. I've been in your shoes, and I've done the work, and now I'm helping people worldwide find their true power and be their best selves. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Alicia Preston. Alicia is she's so many wonderful things. She's a mindfulness coach, and her business is, tell us about your business.
So my business is Mindful Roots. So I primarily work with kids, just teaching them everyday stress management tools for life. So there are a lot of mindful tools. I'm passionate about encouraging individuals to cultivate an inner calmness and an inner peace and stillness. And through this, it leads to subtle changes in their life and can make a significant impact on their mental health, their self-confidence, their self-esteem, their self-judgment, and their body awareness. I'm also a registered kids yoga teacher, so I'm really excited to incorporate yoga into the Mindful Kids program, which will be starting in a couple weeks. So that will be, we'll talk about that later in the show, but That's who I am. So that's my business. Like I said, I work with kids, I work with teachers. I used to be an educational assistant with the school board. And so my story is I had postpartum depression, and I had a really bad back injury, and I lost myself through those years. And through mindfulness and meditation, I was able to save myself again and love myself again. When my son was 7, he started experiencing anxiety in the form of headaches and stomach aches. And working in the school system, we've been pushing for a lot more mental health support, but the funds just aren't there. So I had the lingo myself to teach tools for mindfulness, but I didn't have the lingo for him and kids. So that's why I took the Mindful Kids program and sought out the training. And it's been life-changing for us and helped our family tremendously. And my husband and I parent as well. So that's my story.
Oh, that's amazing. And, you know, kids definitely need the support for mindfulness. I mean, we all need it, not just kids. But if we can get to kids, you know, at a younger age, to set them up and give them the tools to be able to manage, you know, their emotions and what's going on, they're going to be so much better equipped as adults. They won't be doing all this work in their 30s and 40s like most of our generation is doing, right?
Yeah.
They'll be, you know, well equipped to support themselves. And so that's really amazing. I really commend you for what you're doing, because it's so, so needed. So before we get into our big discussion, this is the Coffee and Confidence show. So now it's time for what is in your cup. So in my cup today, I have this awesome thermos mug that was given to us by our son. And I'm going to show you my coffee. I brought it out just for this show. So this is a coffee. Oh, no, here it is. This is a coffee that I picked up when I was in Newfoundland last month. It's called Jumping Bean, and it's the East Coast Roast. It's a fair trade and organic. And it's amazing. My husband and I are like, wow, this is a fabulous cup of coffee. So that's what's in my cup this evening. Please, Alicia, share with us what's in your cup.
I have water. I wish it was wine. Should I?
Can you turn that into wine?
It would be nice. If I were to have a coffee right now, I think I'd be up probably till 2 a.m. So
Yes.
Water tonight.
Yeah, because this is an evening edition of the Coffee and Confidence shows, and this is the first evening edition. You know what? I can drink coffee before bed and it doesn't affect me. So yeah, that is what is in my cup.
Awesome.
So I want to invite everybody who's tuning in online. I see we have some viewers online. Please say hello. Let us know you're here. Let us know what's in your cup. And then as we're going, we'd love to hear comments from you, any questions that you may have. So first off, we have Trina Hill tuning in. Hello, Trina. And she is amazing to boot. And I'm sure you're talking about Alicia here, Alicia. All right, so yes, anybody who says hello or leaves comments for us, I will be sure to, include you and have a chat with you this evening. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, it's like back to school week, right? This is the first week, it's back to school. There's a lot of changes, parents too, but for kids, right? So they've got school, new routines, early to bed, early to rise. Now they've got in a whole new routine, and you know what? That brings anxiety. And not only that, but it's new people, right? New class, new situation. And we've got a lot going on this week. And I want to talk a little bit about the anxiety and going back to school. I know my daughter has what I call like the bad belly syndrome. It's like my belly hurts, right? And you had mentioned earlier that your son experiences that too, with the headaches and the bad belly. And I really envy all the pictures on Facebook, the back to school pictures of the first day. That does not happen at our house. Back to school, the very first day, the first morning, is filled with anxiety and fear and a lot of tears. So if I have back to school pictures, they're usually taken a couple days after. But, I want to talk a little bit deeper about this and, what causes in your experience and professionally and being a mom yourself, what causes kids to have anxiety these days in 2018?
Anxiety, it's like a fight or flight response. And I think number one, when you say new routines for kids, I think as parents, we need to watch our energy as well, because we're often starting new routines. And I don't know about you, but I have a really busy week and next week's really busy. And I was kind of feeling a bit anxious about it. And then I realized, oh, wait, my kids are feeding off me. So number one right there is we need to lead by example in that department. It's the unknown. Like my son was just registered in French immersion up until last Friday, and we were away, and my mom was telling me, he's really upset about it, and we wanted him to go into French immersion more than he wanted to. He was agreeable in the terms like, okay, I'll try it, but at the end of the day, I thought it's just not worth it. So we pulled him very quickly, and my son also gets anxiety in the form of tics, and so he gets handshakes and he winks a lot, and he'll shake his head a bit. And those leading up to the last few weeks were extreme, and we've since seen them dissipate because of that. So I think it's the unknown. It's separation anxiety. Especially for kids going into kindergarten. It can be any transition going from kids going into high school. It's the new teacher. Anxiety can come in the form of like stress in a child's support social system. perhaps mom and dad have split up, or perhaps their bigger brother or sister have moved away and gone to college. They could be worrying about them. It can come in terms of homework, or even kids going into grades 3 and 6, they're already worried about having to write EQAO. Can also be bullying, a close friend moving away from school, from their classroom, or an undiagnosed learning disorder. And anxiety comes in both psychological and physiological forms as well. So like you said, headaches, stomach aches, kind of withdrawn, crying. Yeah, it comes in all forms.
Yeah. I'm just thinking when I was a kid, I had anxiety. And my mom used to always say, well, you know, that's just because you're so excited.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I really? Am I really excited to go back to school? To the point where I think she convinced me that I was really excited. And oddly enough, I was a kid that got anxiety like the big holidays like Christmas and stuff. And she's like, oh, mom's like, oh, you're just so excited, you know?
Yeah.
And so I never, I don't know, that's what I learned, right? Because that's what mom told me, that I was just really excited. So that's what I ended up believing. I come to realize that, like, as I grew a little bit older, I used music like to calm myself with anxiety. So that was my coping mechanism, is music. But, you know, there could be so many different reasons for people to experience anxiety.
Yeah.
Like my daughter's really bothered by the fluorescent lighting at school and all the different energies, right? So you think that, like, I'm just thinking about my daughter. She's home all summer. She's doing her own thing. She's in her own vibe. And now she's got to be in a room with all of these different energies, right? And that can be exhausting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, the way I can explain anxiety is having a discomfort and not knowing how to deal with it. And I want to say something to Trina, because Trina is an adult and has gone back to college. And
yes,
awesome job, Trina. Like, super excited and proud for you. But I know, just seeing through social media, that she was feeling nervous as well. So when kids have anxiety, I almost want to say, like, congratulations, you're human. And sharing that with our kids and allowing them to have a safe space and express their emotions and feelings is very validating, because we need to talk to our kids that, yeah, we experience these emotions too. And I find with my son, like, he would have these big emotions and feelings, and he didn't know what they were. It was like, and this is when he was 6, 7. And he's like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I feeling this way? And like, oh, honey, you're not alone. Like, the kids are feeling anxious, and you know what? Our teachers are feeling anxious as well. Like, and it's like a big circle.
So I'm just thinking about, you know, the kids that need the support. However, the parents are being dismissive to what is going on. You know, perhaps they're on their phones. Perhaps they're saying, oh, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Like, what are you worried about that for? That's nothing to be worried about. So when I'm thinking about dismissive parents, like, what kind of an impact does that have on a child?
I think it plays a huge impact on them. I feel like they can become emotionally withdrawn, can lead to delinquent behaviors. And I say that loosely, because all behavior is a form of communication. So if your kids are trying to talk to you in a way and let you know, like, hey, this is the way I'm feeling, and we're telling them, oh, don't worry, or you're too sensitive, or it's going to be okay, we're not really listening to them. We're not acknowledging what they're feeling. And I think this internally provides more fear for them and more stress on them. And they'll seek any attention they can. And sometimes it's a lot of negative attention. They'll act out and then they have our attention, and then we're only treating the behavior rather than looking up to this, like the buildup of what happened. I know for my kids, when they come home, and it's happened this week because our kids have been anxious, and my daughter, who has gone from kindergarten to grade 1, which was a huge transition, she's just melting down, right? And if you sit with them and you connect with them and you look at them in the eyes and just be there for them, eventually they'll open up, right? They're like, well, this happened today. Okay, now this makes sense why they're acting like that. So as parents, we have to stay connected with them. We have to listen with our full attention. We have to accept what they're saying, and even ourselves, without judgment. We have to create that safe place. We can't fix all their problems, but we can give them tools to help cope with them.
I want to interrupt there for a second, because something really good's coming to mind, is that we all want to feel valued and heard, no matter what age we are, no matter if we're like 3 years old or 93 years old. And honestly, the clients that I work with, most of them, I can honestly say, most of them have not felt valued or heard as a child, right? They didn't receive love in the way that they needed to feel loved. So a lot of the, by being present with your children and making them feel like they're valued and heard, it's going to set them up, to live a life of confidence, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And compassion. And even as a parent, like, we need to manage our own feelings and our own reactions.
And that's really hard, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, again. Today was an example for us in our car. It was just nonstop fighting. And we did some deep breathing, my husband and I, on the way. And then they got home and we were like, you have to go to your room and play together until you can love each other and say one kind thing to each other. And it worked. It's hard. Parenting is so hard. That's why I love, like, the mindful tools, because as much as they're helping my kids, they're helping us. It's like a life skill that should be taught to every single person. It doesn't matter how old you are. They're just so valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So what tips and tricks or what advice do you have for parents out there who have kids that are dealing with anxiety? Like, what advice do you have for them so that they can support their kids in a manner that's going to create confidence and help them grow into resilient adults?
Can you hear me, Kelly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I lost you there. So tools. Okay, is that I couldn't understand your question, but I think I know where we're going. So the biggest thing, again, is providing that safe space without judgment for them.
Okay.
I would say for kids going to kindergarten, practice the routine in the morning. This is what we're going to do. We're going to pack our bag. We're going to go for a drive, and we're going to practice going to school. Sorry, I have a sheet with all my tools I'm going to get. A lot of kids have separation anxiety, and this is something that we dealt with personally. My son going to the bus stop and literally standing there and not moving to get on the bus. And this is when I was going through recovery from surgery. So was he feeding off my energy at 4? Absolutely. And the bus driver looked at me one day and said, like, be thankful for him and his persistence, because he's resilient and he is strong-minded, and you are going to be so thankful for that one day. And still picture that moment, and I'm like, thank you.
Mhm.
Be supportive without feeding on their worries. So don't ask questions about like, oh, what do you think your new teacher's going to be like? Or are you worried about your new teacher, or whose class you're going to be and to be in? Like, don't ask questions like that. Instead, ask like, oh, I wonder what you're going to learn in math today. When I was this age, this is what I learned. I've With my own kids, it's easy to connect and then kind of defer. So we're
Ah,
connecting, we're acknowledging the feelings and the emotions, but then we're kind of deferring and changing, not the subject, but just their mind frame. And it always, always works.
yeah, because like the questions that you said not to ask, like they almost prompt more worry. Like, who do you think is going to be in your class? Are you going to like your teacher? And when
Yep.
you ask those kind of questions, like, oh, what if I don't like her? So it can create worry. Now, as parents, as good, like well-intended parents, we're just trying to initiate conversation. But sometimes we as parents don't realize the types of questions we are asking actually creates more worry and more anxiety.
Absolutely. Yep, they do. and
Uh-huh.
it's something that comes naturally, but that's when you really have to stop and think like, okay, wait, this will cause more stress for my child. Like I said, it's important for them to know that they're human and it's okay to feel those emotions. I'm really big on identifying emotions, so naming the emotions. And science says if we can name the emotions we're feeling, and like, okay, I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling sad, or excited can be an emotion as well, then we can tame it. And through that, I teach a lot of mindful tools. Or it can be like, oh, Bob is back again. Bob can be anger, you know? I think that's when you can name, like, kind of make it humorous if you
Yeah.
can. Because again, it's deflecting the situation. And when you can name them, you have more control over yourself. And that gives them the tools and the confidence to go through life and dig deep and realize how they're feeling.
I just want to say, I think that's hilarious. Oh my gosh, Bob's back again.
Bob is back. And there's a great book for kids of all ages called In My Heart. And it talks a lot about colors and feelings. And the kids love that book.
Who's the author of that one, In My Heart?
Joe Witek? Yeah.
How do you spell his last name?
Witek.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a really interesting book recommendation. Yeah.
For sure. So talk to your kid's teacher as well. And for me, that's what we did. I knew the system a bit more. I knew what to happen. But for children's mental health, when we went through to contact them, it was like a 2-year wait because we weren't in crisis. There's occupational therapy. So we got a weighted blanket for him. We got headphones. And those really helped a lot with him. But his OT referral came up just in June. So we waited almost 1.5 years for that. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? We don't need this anymore because I want people to know that their mindful space is with them wherever they go. And we all have a superpower, and that's our breath. And our breath is with us everywhere. And we just don't breathe properly. We don't take deep breaths at all. And I'm looking for one of my mind jars, which I don't have. So
My superpower is my breath. Okay.
Yeah,
Explain
your
that.
superpower is your breath. So pretend that this jar is full with glitter, okay? I wish I had my mind jar. Sorry, guys. And when a stressful event happens, there's glitter everywhere. It's just swirling, swirling, swirling. And that's where we often react instead of respond. And what mindfulness does is it gives us our anchor. So if a big storm comes in, and this is our boat, and the storm's coming, and we drop our anchor. Our anchor is our breath. We have our belly breath and our chest breath. Then just by breathing, it calms us naturally, and it sends a signal to the brain, and you're like, I can handle this. All I have to do is stop, identify how I'm feeling. Oh, there's Bob. He makes me feel this way. But I know if I can stop and breathe, I can respond in a different way, and there won't be a consequence. And I say that because anxiety can come in the form of the buildup I was talking about with our little girl, just acting out and just not knowing how to deal with those emotions. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we need to be superheroes and breathe better.
Yeah. I know as adults, for instance, well into adulthood, it's like, man, something just rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, oh, I'm getting an emotional charge right now. Like, why am I what is going on here? So it's really important to identify that emotion, because I really believe people my age, I'll say in my 40s, is that we didn't grow up learning mindfulness. So now, mid 30s, 40s, we're starting to learn and embrace what mindfulness is, and we're starting to identify our own emotions. So it's so wonderful that you're out there teaching it to the kids so that they are better equipped. I just love that.
Yeah, they're great tools. And the key is to practice as a family during those calm times. And you don't need, you can be outside waiting for the school bus or walking your child to school and just say hey, do you hear all those birds singing? Let's listen to one bird and just walk for a bit and just try and keep your focus on that one bird sound. What they're doing is bringing their attention to one specific focus, and they're practicing mindfulness right then and there. Or let's walk for 5 steps really, really slow and just feel the way our foot touches the earth. There's another mindful practice. These balls, when I have students and we start classes, the Hoberman spheres, the kids are always like, oh, I have one of those, but it's a breathing ball. So you just match your breath to it. So breathe in, breathe out. Again, just sitting with them and doing it is just teaching them again to breathe properly. Mm-hmm. A few more things that I love for connecting for kids, especially when they come home and you're sitting around the dinner table and you're like, how was your day today? What did you do? Nothing, right? It's always nothing. So these little love-powered cards, they were created by 2 women in Burlington. And the kids just choose a card. And what this is teaching them is those positive affirmations. It's teaching them self-confidence. And it gets the conversation going around the dinner table. So I just chose authenticity as my power. I am authentic. I am genuine. I am honest. I honor myself and others by feeding my feelings and speaking my truth. I am authentic. When were you true to yourself? How did it feel? Mm-hmm. So that's our conversation piece around the dinner table. And it gives a chance for us all to reflect on that. And I love it because even when my daughter was 5 and we first introduced it, she grasped it. And what those affirmations do is when we're having our monkey mind moments, when we're not feeling good about ourselves and we're feeling like we can't do something, and that's where the growth mindset comes in as well, mm-hmm. is changing those negative thoughts to positive affirmations is so absolutely powerful and needed for our kids right now. We need to empower them and build their confidence up, especially in today's fast-paced life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, those are some really great tips that you shared. I got jotting down some, and then I was just so enthralled in listening to you, I forgot to jot down some others. But one of the things that you said is create a safe space.
Yes.
My video is not all that clear this evening. But yeah, creating a safe space, practice the routine to help minimize anxiety, and be supportive by asking good questions. That was like my value point from your talk this evening, is as a reminder to ask really good questions. Make sure the questions that you're asking are not feeding their anxiety, because us well-intended parents sometimes can make little boo-boos like that.
Yep. It's a reminder for us to just really slow down and be in the moment and tap into how our kids are feeling and how we're feeling. And yeah.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he's a dad, and he's like, yeah, I'm really interested in doing some, it was a course, it was like something about being happier or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I said, if I could give you 2 tips that really help me, one is gratitude,
Yes.
and the other is be present. And he was like, yeah, I got gratitude nailed. He's like, but I really have trouble with being present. I was like, yeah, well, that's what mindfulness does, right? That really helps people be present and in the moment and not worry about what just happened or what's going to happen. It's just being in the now.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure.
So please share with everybody online, people who's catching the replay, how can people connect with you, Alicia?
So I'm on Facebook under Mindful Roots Love. People may know me formally from Sunrise Malas. I've just rebranded because that's the direction I'm going. I still create malas, but the workshops and the teachings are taking precedence over it, which I love. My website is www.mindfulroots.ca. I'm on Twitter at mindfulalicia, and email alicia@mindfulroots.ca. I work a lot at She Thrives. So next Tuesday, we have a Mindful Kids Parent Info meeting. I'm really trying to get some program working up here in the Center Hastings area. That's where I'm from. And I'm teaming up with Public Health and some other local agencies. So on September 19th, I'll be in Trenton, and we're facilitating the Everyday Mindfulness Workshop for mindfulness and mindful parenting. And we're going to focus a lot on screen time and how it's not good for our kids. The 20th, the same workshop is in Belleville, and on the 27th, we're in Bancroft doing that.
Awesome. So do you work only locally, or do you have a way to work with people who are not in like the Belleville, Quinte Bay area?
Absolutely. I've done one-to-one sessions online through Zoom,
okay.
Which is nice and secure and confidential. Yeah, and I've traveled a lot to a lot of schools actually doing PD workshops. So I've traveled as far as Napanee, I guessed. So it's kind of my area, but I do have a friend who has taken the same training as me in the Coburg area, and there's also a girl in the Stratford area. So we're kind of working together, like, hey, this person's here, they reached out. And so if you're not local to this area, please reach out. And I do have some amazing friends that are facilitators that can definitely help out. But yeah.
So you know people who know people is what I'm hearing.
I know people who know people.
Have your people call my people.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, because I know that I have a lot of, Facebook friends that are all over the world, really. A lot of people out east, Eastern Canada, who would probably love to connect with the work that you're doing. So I welcome everybody to connect with Alicia, ask her to be your friend on Facebook, request her as a friend. And Alicia, I welcome you to leave all the links to like your website, like any groups that you have going, and you're welcome to, put in the comments, put in the workshop dates and things like that if people are interested.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
So thank you everybody for tuning in to the Coffee and Confidence show this evening for the evening edition. This is a weekly show. If you've enjoyed this one, usually it's Thursday morning. So every Thursday morning you can catch the Coffee and Confidence show live here on Facebook. And yeah, next week I'm interviewing Steph Tratner. We're going to be talking about confident body language. So I'm excited to have her as a guest. But thank you so much, Alicia, for being here and sharing your knowledge. And I love that you're adding value and, you know, creating confidence in the world. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, Kelly. And I love what you're doing with this show. It's just needed for everyone. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, thanks again. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.